en emparum fugietum amator per meas finis et applicarura linis in cedas habeas geparvis aicos alumnis.
Hey everyone, Clawland here. I just finished filming a review of Dogfight Starship Edition. Did you see that? Did you see that? What'd you do? What did you do? This is Jax Nicole, our retired racing greyhound. She's a foster, and we just got her a few days ago, waiting for a permanent home. And these retired racing greyhounds, they run 45 miles an hour and knock everything out of the way. You know, they're so clumsy. And when this dog runs, so graceful, but just walking around the house, just a complete, utter mess. Just knocking stuff over. You're silly, Jax. You're a good girl. Well, if anybody lives in the Atlanta area and is looking to adopt a very sweet retired racing greyhound, just go to the Sega website. That's Southeastern Greyhound Adoption. And there you go. She knocks over a light, Sega gets a free plug. Oh, that's your good girl. Oh, say hello. That's your good girl, yes. Alright. Alright, let's get back to gaming. Alright, I can't remember what I was saying, but okay, left-hand review, Clawland, blah blah blah. So, we're here to take a look at a more meaty game. I just finished filming Dogfight Starship Edition. I was feeling really amped up from that, and I want to get into another meaty game, because I've been doing a lot of more light and medium weight. Gotta do something meaty, and we're gonna take a look at Trojan. Trojan was released, I think, in 2011 or 2012. Finally came to the United States about Gen Con time, although I paid big bucks to get mine imported from Germany. But Trojan, this is from one of my favorite designers, Stefan Feld, and it is an exceptional Euro-y, gamey game. It is essentially themeless, but it is a puzzle. It is a bunch of mini games within a game. It's like Mario Party in a Euro game. So let's take a look at Trojan. This is going to be a little lengthy because I'm going to show you how to play Trojan. So maybe you can just skip the rules altogether. Just watch my video. Alright, let's take a look. So there's a lot that comes in a box of Trojan. So let's open it up and go through it. So you're going to get a little black bag here, which you're going to use to randomly draw some bonus tiles out of. These are some player aids that I printed off BGG. I would definitely advise doing that. You're going to have a ton of pieces for each player. You have green, brown, blue, and the red player. We'll go over those, of course, in a minute. These are just kind of the spare tokens from the punch sheet. And look at all these tokens. Holy smokes, okay? You got your rule books in here. Another player aid I got down here. Get all these out. And then the board, a nice big board. Let's get that out of there. Okay, but we're not done yet. Now we got player boards, each individual player board. And these are cardboard. Alright. Heavy duty. Awesome. Nice design on the back there. Alright, each player is going to have their own player board. And of course the multi-language rules. So let me set all this up. I'll show you how to play Trojan. So as you can see, there's a lot going on the game board here. There's a lot of setup and a lot of different steps during the setup. And I'm not going to go over that, but you can read through that in the rule book. So let's just dive right into it. First thing you're going to notice here is the player mat. The player mat is going to have all these dishes in it. Each dish is going to represent one of the 6 actions that you can take in the game. This is a mancala. If you remember that game when you were younger, you may have kids now that have played it. It's when you pick up beads from a dish and you drop them consecutively into adjacent dishes. In this case, the dish in which you place the final action marker or action pawn is the action that you're going to take. Now, it also, you need to be thinking about which colors you are dropping in which spaces, and I'll explain that here in a second. So the first thing I'm going to do is, let's say I choose to pick up these pawns, and I drop one there and one there. So I'm ending in this spot, so this is the action that I'm going to take. Now, this is why the colors matter. You'll notice this is the spot in which I ended, so I'm going to look at my Trojan tile here that happens to be in that space and see if I have action pawns in here equal to the colors on the Trojan tile. In this case, I do. I have a green and a yellow. This requires a green and yellow, so I would immediately accomplish this Trojan tile. And this one is going to grant me 3 points and 2 cards, 2 of the commodity cards up here, and we'll get into those in a minute. So if that was the case, then I would discard this one back to the box. I collect my 2 commodity cards and then continue on doing this action. So let's go over each of the actions. And why don't we just start here with the Senate action. The Senate action is going to allow you to move up the Senate track on the board, which is right here. So I do a Senate action. I'm the blue player. I just move up. Oops, everyone starts actually in here. I move up 1 on the Senate track. That's going to grant me 2 points and afford me 2 votes in the Senate, which is going to occur at the end of each quarter. I guess that's a good time to bring up that the game is arranged in 4 quarters, and each quarter is comprised of 4 rounds. So there's going to be scoring at the end of each quarter, as well as scoring at the end of the game. So let's look at the next action here, is the Trojan action. The Trojan action is going to allow you to take one of the face-up Trojan tiles here on the board. So you can pick whichever one you want, and you're going to place it in the space on the board that has this arch, the Trojan arch. You're going to place it there, and the arch just moves to the next empty space. So let's take a look at each of the Trojan tiles. These up here are going to be your demands, and those are going to be used for satisfying demand at the end of each quarter, which I'll go into in a second. These +2s are going to give you a +2, which is another secondary bonus. It's almost like a triple action. What you're going to do when you do that, when you satisfy one of those Trojan tiles, is collect this +2. You're going to put it on your player board onto one of these areas here. So let's say here. Okay? Then later in the game, if I take a shipping action, I can cash in a shipping bonus tile to do my second shipping action. And because I have this +2, I get to do a third shipping action. When you satisfy these Trojan tiles, of course, you're going to get 2 commodity cards. These ones here allow you to place more workers into the military camp. It's either 1 or 2. This is placing more workers into... the red is the building. The green is the military, so you can put 1 or 2 workers up in the military camp, depending on which tile you satisfy. And these are just straight 9 victory points. The next action we have here is the building action. That's going to take place up here on the building area of the board. Everything is nicely color-coded and labeled with the action symbol. And what you're going to do here is you have 2 options. You can either take one of your workers from your pool and place it here into the builder's pool, or you can take a worker that is already in the builder's pool and place it onto the work area. For your first worker, you can put him on any one you want. So let's say I'll put him here. You'll take this, and then you will score the points. In this case, it's going to be 2 points. And I'm going to place it onto my player board. Now you can see there's a space for it right here. For the first tile that you place of each type, you're immediately going to take the associated actions. So these look like shingles. When I put the shingles on here, it's got a little Trojan symbol, so I'm immediately going to take a Trojan action. So go back to the board, grab a Trojan tile, put that on my board, and obviously score the 2 points that are on this tile. So later in the game, if I was to collect another shingle tile, I'm not going to get to take that free bonus action again. But there are bonuses at the end of the game for having like building tiles. So there is a reason why you'd want to collect multiple ones. And you can see each one of the spaces here corresponds to a different action. So each time you collect one, you're the first to collect one of these, or the first time you collect each one of these, I should say, you're going to take that free bonus action. After you already have workers in the construction area, when you go to place a new one, you must place it orthogonally adjacent to one of your existing workers. So I might put this guy here, take this, get 5 points, put it on my player board, and if it's the first one of these door or this window shutter, I get to take that bonus action. Simple as that. Okay, the next action here we have on the player board is the shipping action. Here's how shipping works. Each player is going to start the game with 3 commodity cards, and there are several different ones in the game. There are 12 different commodities. When you take a shipping action, you have several choices. You can either draw 2 face-down cards from the commodity deck, add them to your hand, and then discard a card from your hand, which you're going to discard into one of the 2 face-up discard piles. Or you can pick up the top commodity card from one of the discard piles and add it to your hand, just one. Or you can play 1 or 2 cards from your hand face up in your personal display, and then draw that same number of cards back into your hand. So in other words, if these are the cards in my hand, I can take them, play them face down, or face up rather, in front of my display, and then replenish with 2 cards. Or you can accomplish one of these boat shipping bonuses. So in order to do that, you can see there's 3 different boats. This one has equal symbols. Card equals card equals card equals card. This one is not equals, and this one is pairs not equaling. So in this, if you can cash in 1 card for 2 points, you can cash in 2 like cards for 6, 3 for 12, and 4 for 20. This is the same thing, only not like cards, 2 for 6 and 8 points. And this you can cash in a pair of like cards for 5, 2 pairs of cards for 10, and 3 for 15. So again, in order to do that, you're going to take the card. In this case, let's say I just cash in this one. You're going to put it down in front of your play area. Let's say I just put it here. And I'm just cashing in 1 card. So I get 2 points. I move up 2 points here. 1, 2 on the point track. And then this gets flipped over to the opposite gray side. The reason you do that is now future players that do it during this quarter have reduced number of points when they take those actions. Now, you may have noticed, okay, when you accomplish one of the shipping things, you place this guy face down in front of you. The previous action that I said you could do is just take these directly from your hand and put them down in front of you without actually getting any points for doing shipping. Why would you do that instead of always doing the shipping? Well, here's why. When you play these for the boats to get the points and place them down, that's it. You get the points and that's that. When you just choose to freely place them from your hand onto the board, you get to grab 2 more. You get to grab 1 or 2 more depending on how many you played to replenish your hand. So it depends how you want to play. You can either try to get points now or put cards down here to draw more and hopefully get more endgame points. The reason that these are kept face up again is because they are worth endgame points. Alright, still with me? Let's move on to the next action, and that is the forum action, which is here. This is really simple. When you land here on the forum space, you're going to take a forum action, which means you just take any one of these tiles. Now the tiles, here's what they do. There's a lot of different ones. These yellow ones here are going to be additional action tiles. So if I pick up this boat, I'm going to place it on my player board, right here on the corresponding space. And now later in the game, when I take a shipping action, I can cash this tile in to take an immediate second shipping action. These here, these green ones, are commodities, and I'm going to tell you why you need those. Here, these are votes in the Senate, so that's going to add 2 wherever you are on the Senate track to increase the number of total votes you have. And now these ones that have little stars in them, these are going to be wild cards. So this is going to be a wild commodity. So that would go along with this, say for example. I could have a helmet and any other commodity. This is going to be a wild additional action. So I can use this for any additional action. This one here is going to be a bonus wild building tile. So at the end of the game, this can count for any building tile I want in order to maximize my points. Alright, let's move on to the next action, and that is going to be the military action. When you take a military action, you have a couple choices. You can either take a worker from your pool, add him to the military camp here, and he now becomes a military guy for the rest of the game. Or you can move your leader. In order to move your leader, you move him to an adjacent province. So I can move him here. When your leader moves to a province with a tile in it, you take that tile. In this case, this is a extra action building tile. The other option that you can do is to basically teleport one of your little soldier guys, to the space that your military general guy is in. When you do that, you get the points in the space. Okay, does that make sense? Once he's warped here, and you get those 5 points, he stays there. And then maybe on a later action, when I do military, I might move him here and take this tile, if it had not already been taken, of course. And then later I might add another guy to the pool, and then I might move him here and say take this tile if it was not already taken. And then I might move this guy here instead of moving this guy, and that's going to grant me 6 points. So you can see wherever the general goes, you get the tile. Wherever your worker guy goes, you get the points. And once the guys are in these places to get points, they stay there. Now later, say red moves here and moves his guy here, he's going to get fewer points because my guy was here first. So again, more incentive to get your guys out onto the higher number point spaces first. How does a round end? Well, every time a person picks up the action pawns, they're going to call out the number that they pick up. In this case, 2. And 1, 2. And while they're doing their action and whatever, another player is going to move this timer up 2 spaces, 1, 2. If somebody, let's say if they had 6 in one spot and they picked up 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then another player is going to move this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When this gets around one time, you're going to flip over 1 demand tile. And let's just put it right here. Then you're going to continue the game, go around again. You're going to flip another demand tile, go around again, another. So now you have 3 demands. And then once it goes around one final time, that is going to be the end of the quarter. So the first thing you do at the end of the quarter is you need to satisfy demands. We have 3 demands to satisfy each quarter. In this case, it's going to be 2 helmets and a fire. You're going to look on your player board and see if you can satisfy that. In the case of me, I have a permanent fire that I got for satisfying this Trojan tile that was out here at some point during the game. And I can satisfy one of the 2 helmets with this. I'm just going to discard this now from the game. But I'm missing that 3rd helmet. Or I'm sorry, that 3rd demand tile, which would be a 2nd helmet. Since I cannot meet that, I'm going to lose some points. The number of points you lose is clearly labeled right here on the board. The first one you can't satisfy, you lose 4. If you can't satisfy 2, you lose 9. If you can't satisfy any of the 3 demands at the end of the quarter, you lose 15 points. Then, after everybody has satisfied their demands and taken the point losses if necessary, you're going to count the votes in the Senate. So let's just say we had a situation like, let's say this. And I had collected this tile. Okay? Let's count the votes. Well, red and green both have 4 votes. Green's on top, so in this case, green would win. But even though I only have 2 votes, we're going to assume earlier in the game I collected one of the purple vote tiles from the forum, or perhaps up in the military area. So that gives me another 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. I have the most votes. What that allows me to then do is grab one of these bonus tiles. And these bonus tiles are going to be for endgame scoring. So this one's going to give me 1 point for each guy at the end of the game that I have in the building area. This one's going to give me 9 points if I have one of these helmet demand tiles at the end of the game. So because I had the most votes, I'm going to pick this one because I think I'm going to do a lot of building. That'll give me lots of points. Put that in my play area. The person that has the second most number of votes, in this case is green, they're going to get this tile, but they have to take, of course, the reduced benefit gray side, which is only going to give them 6 points. Then finally what you're going to do is just reset the game board. You're going to scrape these, add more. You're going to add some stuff up into the military area. You're going to flip all these guys back over. And you're going to move yourself from quarter 1 to quarter 2. You're going to discard the demand tiles because you're going to be starting having to accomplish 3 new demands. Once you are on the 4th quarter, you're going to do it 4 more times. You're going to score the end of quarter stuff, and then you immediately move to end of game scoring. So in other words, you're going to move around this track 16 times. And that may seem like a lot, but it goes really quick. This track is for 2 players, this track is for 3, and this is for 4. Because when players start bunching up a lot of their action markers, and they're moving 6, 8, or more at a time, you're going to race around this track really quickly. Alright, let's go over the endgame scoring. Now, I don't obviously expect you to remember this, because there is a ton of endgame scoring stuff. But basically, you're going to get points, obviously all the points that you've collected throughout the game. You're going to get points for your commodity cards, you're going to get points for the workers in your worker camp, points for your military guys in the military camp. You're going to get points for your Trojan tiles that you've collected that you didn't satisfy. They're still on your action circle. You're going to get points for having like construction tiles. You're going to have, and you're obviously going to get points for your bonus tiles that you've collected as well. So let's do a quick recap of where you get points. You get points for satisfying Trojan tiles. You get points for doing these shipping actions. You get points up here in the military area. You get points for building. You get points down here in the Senate. You're going to get points for satisfying the bonus objectives. And then you're going to have all the miscellaneous points like having guys left in the camp, Trojan tiles you didn't complete, cards left in your hand, etc. Oh boy. Oh boy. In 110 AD, the Roman Empire is at the height of its glory, ruled by the Emperor Optimus Princeps. All borders are secured and people can focus their attention again on the Empire's internal matters. Really? This is probably one of the most themeless Euros I've ever played. And you know what? I still love it. This is probably one of my favorite games in my collection. And the reason is because there is so many different paths to victory. You can't necessarily just focus on one thing, like just building. You are never down and out in this game. I never feel like you are destined to lose, like you're all the way in the back, because there's always a ton of ways to earn points. You can just get a ton of points just going up in the Senate every turn, and totally neglect moving, say, your legionnaire or military guys around. The nice thing about Trojan is that it is a Euro player's Euro game. You don't have to worry about the theme. It's, I guess, nice that it's there, but it's a game of mini-games. It is a very heavy, analytical, thinking game. This game can cause some serious analysis paralysis. Most of that stemming from picking up those action pawns and placing them down into the different dishes, because you're wanting to place the correct colors in the correct places in order to accomplish those Trojan tiles, but at the same time you need to end your action pawn placement in the dish in order to accomplish the Trojan tile. Even if you have the right colors in a dish, if you didn't end your move there, too bad. You'll have to try to end your move there in another turn and accomplish that tile without moving those pawns out of it. And then you see like steam coming out of their ears and their eyes glaze over. So when I play this with people, I make sure I play it with players that don't suffer very strongly from analysis paralysis, and even those that don't necessarily can with this game. And I tell them, you know, for your first few games, don't even worry about it. Don't think too much into it. Just kind of place the pawns according to the actions that you want to take, and just think maybe briefly about getting them in the right space. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting, and this game that should take only 90 minutes or so is going to take you 3 hours or more, and it's awful. Don't let people do that to you. This is an awesome game. Make sure you keep it to that 90-minute time frame, and you're going to have a lot of fun with it. Like I said before, it's a game of mini games. There's so many paths to victory. There's so many points. Everything you do in this game is going to get you points. And me personally, I really, really enjoy that. There may be some players that don't really like that. They like a more focused game, and that's fine. But for me, this game is excellent. If I just want points coming out all over the place and having high-scoring games, that's why I really play Trojan. Now, detriments to this game. There is a tremendous amount of setup. It takes forever to set up. So if you're going to have this at the game night, have it set up before everyone gets there. It makes it a lot easier. There's also a lot of upfront rules. That's why I think printing out a player aid, this is the one I use as the teacher, and there's simpler ones that I have for the players, I think is very important. I make sure to tell them, listen, there's a lot up front, but the game itself, the mechanics are very simple. There's just a lot going on. And you're going to coach people through the first couple turns and even the first quarter or two of the game before they really catch on and can move at a quicker pace. But it is well worth it. This is a great game. everyone I've played this game with has enjoyed it. It's good for seasoned gamers as well as people that are maybe recently into the Euro hobby because it's not overly complex. There's just a lot going on. It's great for analytical thinking. Just don't suffer from that analysis paralysis. So, overall, if this looked fun to you, I highly recommend you pick up a copy. It's a great game. It feels just like Steffenfeld and Trajan. It's a great game. It's available in the US now. It's not very expensive. It's a steal. It's a great game. Pick up Trojan, one of my favorites.